Resort Casino just off the I-15 in Temecula. Visit pachanga.com or call 888-PACHANGA for reservations and for more information. And now, I teased it. I said that I should be joined by the one, the only Andy Kamenetsky. He joins me right now. He is your host of Locked On Lakers, and you can always catch him here on ESPN 710 Los Angeles because you never know. We never know when Lakers talk what day it's going to be on. Andy, what's going on, man? Look, we're just still trying to figure out. We know because once again we're all over the place. We got USC, we got men's, we got women's, we got Trojans line, we got all this different types of stuff going on, and we just can never seem to figure out what day is Lakers talk going to be on. All right. So, AK, let's just get right into it, man. So, we've seen the Lakers in their previous three games. We're on a current 3-game winning streak. All right. Now, with them matching up against the Denver Nuggets, I'm not saying we forget this, but they had bad losses against Boston, against the Magic, against the Phoenix Suns. And then they followed it up and they get some wins against the Pelicans. They got another one against the Golden State Warriors. They got one against the Sacramento Kings. What is more telling when it comes to this Lakers team? Is it their losses to those teams, or is it more of them getting back on the right foot and the right track against those three opponents I just listed?
But they've also been a team that loses focus over the course of 48 minutes, and they're not methodical and disciplined enough to do the things that keep them winning. I will say, though, I put the Pelicans win in a separate category than the Warriors and especially the Kings. You know, the Warriors without Steph and Jimmy Butler and Kristaps Porzingis, that's a bad team. The Kings are bad with their full roster, much less the corpse that they were putting out there against the Lakers on Sunday. So that to me wasn't. I'm glad that the Lakers won those games and won them in dominant fashion because that's what you're supposed to do. Like, you are supposed to beat teams like that by double digits, big double digits, and they did it. The win against the Pelicans, though, I'm not going to say the Pelicans are a good team, but they're kind of a good bad team. And if you look at them, especially now with essentially the team at full strength, a starting lineup of DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy III, Saddiq Bey, and Zion Williamson, I'm not going to say that's going to win a championship, but if that team had been together all season, they're better than, I think, 19-44. Like, that's where they currently are now. That's a much better roster than that record. Like they've only had DeJounte Murray at the time the Lakers played them, 4 games this year. Zion's missed around 20. Herb Jones has missed more than that. So, and the Pelicans, even as sort of an ungelled group of talent, it's the type of talent that can test the Lakers with athleticism, with speed, with rangy wings. So I think the Lakers were supposed to win that game, and they did. But I look at that game as more significant as an achievement than, say, the Warriors and the Kings. What's also going to be interesting, though, tonight versus Denver, Denver is in a state without Aaron Gordon. They don't have Peyton Watson. I think they're not going to have Spencer Jones. Cam Johnson's questionable.
Yeah.
But you still have Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and they may be the best duo in the league when it comes to just, we have so many damn reps under our belt and so much continuity. We can run our offense in our sleep and make it work blindfolded. We don't care who the other 3 players are. And that's a challenge to stop. But we can talk about later in the show, DeAndre. I do think over the last 10 games, Denver's shown some vulnerabilities that the Lakers could potentially exploit.
I'm curious to get your thoughts into that, because I'm a little skeptical going into this game only because of the matchup with Nikola Jokic. And you already know how Jamal Murray is whenever he gets matched up with the Lakers. For some reason, he'll have 2 nights previous where he's just struggling to shoot the rock, and all of a sudden he's going unconscious on the floor against the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
That's literally the moral of the story when it comes to the Lakers matching up with the Denver Nuggets. I'm not gonna lie to you, the Denver Nuggets haven't a Lakers number. But to talk about
the last series against the Lakers, Jamal Murray honestly was not that good other than his game winners. Like they actually did a pretty good job on Jamal Murray, except those 2 game winners. Like, what the F, man? Are you kidding?
Exactly.
Like, are you kidding?
So honestly, to talk about that New Orleans Pelicans game, and it's crazy because Travis actually brought this up before we started the show. And I told him, I was like, you know what, Trav? Like, they actually, like the Pelicans, like when you look at them just on paper, on the sheet, I'm like, oh, they got talent on that team as far as DeJounte Murray. He's an all-star. And then they got Zion, of course. And then they also still got Trey Murphy. They still got Herb Jones. Like, they got some guys. Saddiq Bey he's averaging like 17 points this season. He's done a phenomenal job in his role, especially with guys being in and out of the lineup. But that team, there's guys on that roster who other teams were trying to seek for during the trade deadline.
Okay. Raj Chipalu over at Silver Street and Roll, he's been on Lakers Talk a few times. Really good Lakers coverage. He pointed this out, and it's totally true. You can't have this both ways. The Pelicans can't be trash, and Laker fans can't want their players. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that is a contradiction in terms. Again, I'm not saying the Pelicans are an elite inner circle contender, because they're clearly not, but it can't be they're totally untalented. Who cares if the Lakers beat them? But also, we'll take this player, and this player.
So, and that's very, very interesting, because knowing what the Pelicans were doing in that game and their size, they got younger athletic guys compared to this Lakers team, which the Lakers are trying to get to when it comes to the foreseeable future. However, one thing that was really frustrating, and there's moments when Lakers do when they run into younger athletic teams who like to get out and run, they tend to not take care of the ball that well. 10 turnovers in 1 quarter is unacceptable. And then 21 just in total. Like, you can get away with that against the Pelicans team who can't really capitalize on those, because they end up trying to get into a half-court offense. When they do try to get out and run, it ends up in a Zion Williamson bully ball game. So Lakers are honestly in that favor. They were able to kind of stop them in transition in certain points of the game. However, when you have 21 turnovers, and once again, I just keep on going back to it, if you have those against the Spurs, the Thunder, teams like that level of competition, hell, even the Rockets, who like to utilize that and get out and run because they have a lot of flaws offensively, the Lakers are going to run into some trouble when it comes to teams like that. Is there real concerns about that as far as them taking care of the rock?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they need to find this sweet spot between more ball movement, because clearly they need more. I mean, it's something JJ's preached a lot, and it's true. And the best version of this team offensively, the best, most utilized version of DeAndre Ayton, the best version of Rui Hachimura. Like, you have to get those guys more shots. More shots is going to happen with more ball movement. There's also just less standing around, less stagnation. So you got to move the ball, but you got to make sure you're making good passes. You know, JJ's talked about there are times when this group can avoid the simple play. Like the third quarter, that turnover fest, there was a sequence where Luka, LeBron, and Austin had, if not turnovers in back-to-back-to-back possessions, it was pretty close. JJ calls timeout, and the Lakers get back on the floor, and immediately Luka turns the ball over on a really bad cross-court pass to Austin Reeves. Like, they can, when they get sloppy, they put themselves in a vulnerable position. Like they, I will say this, to their credit, they were just as disruptive to the Pelicans. The Pelicans turned the ball over a lot too, and the Lakers actually scored 8 more points off the Pelicans' turnovers than the Pelicans scored off theirs. And in a 9-point win, those 8 points make a big difference. But they're going to have to be more careful against the top 6 or higher seeds in the West, or the best teams that they play for the rest of the regular season in the Eastern Conference, because those teams will likely do a better job of capitalizing.
So, speaking of JJ Redick and how he has been as far as the second half of the season, trying to figure out the right lineups and try to figure out the right rotations, we start to see him stagger Luka, ARs, and LeBron's minutes, meaning that we start to see him, he pays attention. He definitely understands the metrics, the numbers, and all that stuff when it comes to the game of basketball. And he's seeing that there's no question that he's understanding that when Luka and Austin Reeves are on the basketball court together, there's a lot of good things that happen when it comes to the offense. There's not a lot of ball watching. There's actually a little more spacing. There's a lot more player movement when it comes to them on the basketball court, because they do a good job of moving the rock. They do a good job of taking guys off the dribble, and it works into their favor. Now you start to see them, JJ Redick, implement LeBron James instead of Luka and AR, and LeBron James in a lineup with Kennard, LaRavia, Rui, even at times with Jackson Hayes, or depending on with DeAndre Ayton. And we start to see LeBron James just on the court with himself, and it works in his favor. It works in that offense, especially on the other end of the floor. So I think JJ Redick has done a good job in that aspect and figuring it out, because when it comes down, the biggest question is who's going to close out games. And I just can't stress it enough. That's going to be depending on the scenario and the type of situation Lakers are going to be in when it comes to late game and it comes to who's going to close out games. But as far as just through the duration of 48 minutes, I think he's doing a phenomenal job of understanding that aspect of this Lakers team.
Yeah, it's funny too with the closing group. JJ recently said, and I don't remember, it was at a practice, and I don't remember what the context, like what brought this up. But he said there are 3 guys that are always going to close, and I think we can figure out those 3 are Luka, LeBron, and Austin. Marcus Smart, if he's not in Sharpie as the 4th guy, like he's in a pen that is a pain in the ass to clean off the wall or whatever when it's written on it. That dude has been so good in fourth quarters and down the stretch. Like quarters 1 through 3, Marcus Smart can be an insane roller coaster that runs the gamut of like amazing, like against the Pelicans, for example. He had that one play where he essentially defended 2 guys at once, the passing lane between a guy above the break and a guy in the corner, managed to intercept the pass and turn it into a transition bucket for the Lakers. He also threw yet another of his what the F man lobs that was so awkward it caused both him and LeBron to fall down. Like, I mean, quarters 1 through 3 with Marcus Smart can be this box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Roller coaster of bizarre passes, insane shot selection, irrational confidence, occasionally overzealous defense. But quarter 4, that dude has been nails. Like, to put one example of this, for the season, he's shooting 33% from behind the arc, which is, Fourth quarter, 38.5%.
That
Like
corner three he had was big time, AK. That was a
how
big
many? I
time
mean, how
shot.
many big shots has that guy hit? Like in the fourth quarter, or even late in the fourth quarter. So I think he is pretty much a staple, which makes the fifth guy, to your point, situational and interesting, because I think that will be dictated a lot by matchups.
And Austin Reeves made some comments, and this was when the news broke out with DeAndre Ayton because he got to get that crunk juice. AK, he's got to be ready to go with that crunk juice. So
You're closer in age to DeAndre Ayton. Do you have any idea what could be crunk juice? Like what that consists of?
I'm not gonna lie to you.
When you were playing in the desert, did your coaches give you crunk juice?
When I was playing in the desert, there was no such thing as crunk juice. I was over there drinking pure water because your boy was dehydrated as hell out there, and there's a little bit of electrolytes that they would give us. So I'm assuming that the crunk juice has to be some sort of like Gatorade or something, and then just tape it around. Honestly, AK, I just keep on wrapping my head around like this is not no damn Space Jam, man. Like, what are you doing? But Austin Reeves, before we hit this break real quick, Austin Reeves made some comments and saying that he believes DeAndre Ayton is the X factor for this team. And I'm kind of in a disagreement with that because to your point, what Marcus Smart has been able to do and his way to change the momentum of games and bringing a different type of energy that the Lakers need. When if they didn't have Marcus Smart in that stretch in the fourth quarter, who knows how that game would have went. And he was a big part of to them taking the lead. And I just feel like he is. I mean, I feel like it's really obvious, but I think he really is the X factor when it comes to a lot of moments on the basketball court compared to DeAndre Ayton.
Here's where I would say I think Austin is right, or I think what he may be talking about. When DeAndre Ayton is playing well, he gives them a dimension that you can't find anywhere else on the roster. Like as far as a true scoring option center, like that can create some of his offense himself. Like Jackson Hayes, his range is the rim, and you pretty much have to feed him his offense. And he can be really effective. Like as a rim running finisher, he can be very, very effective and dynamic, but you have to set everything up for him. You have to give DeAndre the ball, but DeAndre can do more with the ball himself. And when he has that shot going and when he is really dialed in and brings that sort of energy and dynamic play, it provides something for the Lakers as scoring options that they don't really have anywhere else. Like it's everything else becomes pretty perimeter oriented unless you're just talking about some type of running the break and whoever ends up the finisher in the half court, other than back cuts or whatever. DeAndre Ayton, or I guess maybe LeBron running out of the post. DeAndre Ayton is really their only interior scoring option. And plus also too, I imagine there's a part of Austin saying this because he realizes DeAndre needs continual motivation and reinforcement. And
Don't
for better
do that,
or for
AK.
worse. Look, for better or for worse, what it is.
Yeah, I hear you. But it's just frustrating to see that he needs all those little things just to get himself motivated to step on the basketball court. But once again,
if a t-shirt half Lion, half DeAndre Ayton is even like a 1% part of maybe a longer playoff run than people are expecting, it's a small price to pay.
Hey, dominating on his back too. You can't forget about that, man. But AK, you mentioned that there's some things that you believe the Lakers could do ahead of tonight's matchup against the Denver Nuggets that could be in their favor. We'll dive into that, get your thoughts on that. Right after that, my partners at Pechanga give you guys a quick word.
At Pechanga Resort Casino, you can rock and roll, sip and slide, twist and shout. Play your perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino, official Indian gaming sponsor of the Lakers.
What is going on? Welcome back to Lakers Talk Daily. Of course, I am joined by the one, the only, your host of Locked On Lakers, and you can catch him here on ESPN 710 Los Angeles for Lakers Talk, which once again, we just can't seem to find a set day to have Lakers Talk on.
In a lot of ways, it's a good problem because it means the station has all these different partners. And at the end of the day, that's great for the station and great for us. It just means the Lakers Talk audience has to be paying attention and be willing to reconfigure a bit of their own lives, which they do. And again, we're grateful.
Exactly. So, AK, you mentioned on the first half of the show that the Nuggets have some flaws in as far as their. Hopefully I'm getting this right. As far as into their team structure and as far as their rotation that the Lakers can can get in there and kind of exploit in their matchup tonight. Can you give a little more deeper dive for the people who are listening in right now?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple things. The Nuggets over the last 10 games, they're 5-5, and other than a win over Boston, and obviously that's good, their wins have been largely meh. You know, for example, the most recent one required 45 points from Jamal Murray and 35 collective trips to the line to beat the Jazz by 3. The Jazz that are looking to lose games. And their losses have been against a combination of both good teams and meh teams. So just taking a look at this matchup, for example, the Nuggets are just 16-12 at home, which is really unusual. Like that is typically one of the best home court advantages. Forget just in the NBA, like in sports, that altitude in Denver, they've been a better road team. By the way, so have the Lakers. The Lakers have actually been better on the road than at home. So maybe that can work a little bit in the Lakers' favor. I mentioned earlier, Denver's offense is still rolling over these last 10 games when they've been up and down. That's the Jokic-Murray effect. Those guys are always going to be able to make the offense work. But their turnovers are up a little bit. Jokic's turnovers are up a little bit. Jokic's percentages from the field and from behind the arc are down over these last 10 games. Like, he's still really good. Like, obviously, he's Nikola Jokic. But those margins, even while still playing at a high level, they can matter, especially when the team is scuffling a bit as it is. Teams have been able to run more in these last 10 games off Denver's turnovers or just on them in general than during this period. They've been like bottom 10 for opponent points off turnovers and opponent points in transition. The Lakers try to run when they can. And this also, though, I think is interesting. For the season, for the last 10 games, they've been a lower middle of the pack team in clutch time over the last 10 minutes, and not a particularly strong clutch time team during the season. And their clutch time defense, whether over the last 10 games or in general, has been abysmal. And the Lakers over the last 10 games themselves, they haven't been quite the clutch time darlings that they've been over the season, but they've been better than Denver. And if this game ends up close down the stretch, those factors could play in favor of the Lakers. Like, this is still going to be a tough game. Like, this is going to be a test for the Lakers, even not at full strength for Denver. Like, again, Jokic and Murray, that's a foundation to challenge other teams. But there are some elements that I think could potentially work for the Lakers in this game if they play at the top of their own game.
I hear you. And someone in the YouTube chat, Brian in the YouTube chat, said that the Nuggets are bad in the clutch. So he just, he was touching on what you were saying. And brings me to this because I actually watched the Nuggets play against the Minnesota Timberwolves this past weekend because it was a primetime game. And, man, when the Nuggets, like you said, in that clutch situation, Naz Reid was able just to take over. They had no answer for him. Bones Highland coming off the bench, they had no answer for him.
He's been good.
He's been really, really good in Minnesota. And they got Ayo Dosunmu as well, who has changed the trajectory of that team as far as how the pace that they play. And of course, they still got Anthony Edwards. And Minnesota was able to take it to the Denver Nuggets because they just had no answer. They really were able to defend. Minnesota was able to do whatever they want, especially in the last 5 minutes into that game. And I understand that. Two totally different teams as far as the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Nuggets. But the only thing that worries me when it comes to the Lakers matching up to the Denver Nuggets
just one thing?
Exactly, right?
The only thing, just the one thing.
Okay, the many I should say, but the one that's really, really eye-popping to me is just
you froze on me for a second. Oh, I am now doing DeAndre's show for DeAndre. This is very exciting. I think Jonathan and DeAndre are efforting to get back. I'm actually very interested to find out what is the one thing that DeAndre. There he is.
Real quick. But to my point, what I was saying is that the one main thing that worries me going into this game, I know there's a lot of other problems that the Lakers have, but is that Denver does have guys who can space the floor out in regards to Tim Hardaway Jr., Cam Johnson, who has been struggling and is trying to find his rhythm when it comes to him shooting the rock. But again, I just get to when you have a guy like Nikola Jokic and you have a guy like Jamal Murray, and they're able to kind of bring in a different look when it comes to different teams, is that Lakers they struggle in the man-to-man principle. And if they try to implement a zone, because they're gonna have to do that tonight against Jokic, because in a one-on-one scenario with him and Aiden, that's not something that you want. And then they're gonna try to double as much as they can to get the ball out of Jokic's hands. Is that the Lakers' rotations and being able to rotate the right way? We've seen them, and I take that Phoenix Suns game where down the stretch they had moments where they just struggled to rotate. I know the Phoenix Suns do a lot of movement to get an open look at a three-point ball. That's the only thing. That's the main thing. I keep on saying only thing. That's the main thing that worries me with this Lakers team is how are they going to be able to match up and defend, especially when Denver has guys from the bench who are willing to step up and able to step up.
Look, it's going to be a challenge. Like, again, I wish Denver was at full strength just because with this many games left in the season, as few games as the Lakers have had with Luka, LeBron, and Austin together, and really the full roster, beyond the greater challenge and the greater potential statement, if you beat Denver full strength, you get more potential information about what does work, what doesn't work. The more games you get against high quality opponents, like just the idea of how well does the Lakers offense work and what they're trying to do now, synergizing Luka, LeBron, and Austin together with Aaron Gordon available and Peyton Watson available. Like you get more info beyond potential bragging rights or whatever. But this is still going to be a challenging game for them. And I think the game will still have significance if they manage to win, just because, can't say it enough, Jokic, Murray, that in and of itself is a real challenge.
And people in the YouTube chat have been asking, why not put Jared Vanderbilt in this type of game and try to keep him on Jamal Murray and see if he can kind of deny him the ball and make it difficult for him to get into his spots. We've seen Jared Vanderbilt and his DNP minutes. Is he someone that we can see get implemented, especially in games like this, who would and better teams in the Western Conference?
Never say never, but I would be surprised if that was the case. I mean, just JJ has seemingly is always looking for reasons to take Vanderbilt out of the rotation. So it's clear. I don't think it's anything personal. I don't think it's a, feuding between JJ and Vando. I think it is JJ philosophically has a shorter leash and I think patience for players with offensive limitations. Like we saw that last year in the playoffs. I said many times on Lakers Talk during the playoffs, you and I were doing these shows, I thought JJ should have played Vando more. I thought he should have played Jordan Goodwin more. JJ clearly has a lower tolerance for Vando's flaws and mistakes Vando may make than other players. I don't agree with JJ on this. I think Vando's positives, in my opinion, outweigh the negatives, if for no other reason than he's one of the few people on this team that can do the things that he does in one player. But it is what it is. Like, I would be surprised if Vando played a lot in this game. I mean, the flow of the game, the context of the game may change it. And again, I don't think this is anything personal or whatever. I think JJ tends to see Vando's flaws or Vando's mistakes louder than at the very least I do.
Got you. And I think it does more to it as far as the offensive end of the floor, because he has gotten to the point where he's just only been staying in the corner and trying to be a corner specialist guy, which is not in this game. I'm just no disrespect. And I think that's kind of more to it, and the why Jerry Vanderbilt hasn't been on the floor much because Lakers already struggle enough when it's the big three on the basketball floor together. And I'm gonna just throw one bonus one at you. This is
Sure.
non Lakers related. So, see, there's reports today that Jason Tatum could be making his NBA debut this Friday,
I know.
and only with 10 months coming off of that Achilles injury. I think for Jason Tatum, I understand the Boston Celtics are in this position. Now they're number 2 in the Eastern Conference right now. And everyone thought that they were going to be punting on this season. And Jaylen Brown has been proving that he can help lead this team with Jason Tatum being out. I don't think Jason Tatum should be coming back this season. I think he should just give it a full year or two, get really healthy and be ready to go the following one. But they might see something as far as, they have a real chance to win the Eastern Conference. They have been beating some teams without him in the lineup. But as far as the rhythm and what the Celtics were able to do with him out of the lineup, that is a big change that they're going to be throwing him. And I'm not saying he's going to be starting right away. He's going to be at minutes restrictions and stuff like that. But once again, I just think about the rhythm, the timing, to get the chemistry back up. All that stuff comes into play, especially with only 21 games remaining this season.
I mean, the good news, kind of like what I was talking about with Jokic and Murray, those two have with Brown and Tatum, they have so many reps together and so many years together. It will hopefully be, from Boston's perspective, easier for them to re-synergize than, say, what Luka, LeBron, and Austin have been looking to do, because they don't have as many years together, and it's always been so interrupted over the course of the year and change that they've been on the same team. There's more that Tatum and Brown can lean on in terms of just muscle memory. I don't know enough about the medicine of this to say whether or not Tatum's coming back too early. I'd like to think that the doctors involved know what they're talking about. Tatum, though, I'm pretty sure I'm correct about this, had his surgery basically the next day. Like, he had this thing really quick. And I think that may have played a role in this. Just there was no downtime. He immediately went under the knife. I realize Tatum's a Celtic and all that. I never root for guys to get injured. So I hope this is, particularly players that are, I mean, he's a really good player and he's fun to watch play, uniform notwithstanding. So, and he's from St. Louis. So,
there we go. Come on now.
I am hoping that this is safe, the necessity of it. And I mean, you could argue either way. You could argue this was a planned gap season. They're ahead of schedule. Just be as safe as possible and whatever. The flip side is they've been this good without Tatum. Maybe they can raise a level up or two without even needing Tatum to be 100%, without having to push him to be the 100% version of Tatum, whether you're talking about production or minutes. Like, if you look at the East, they may be saying, the Knicks have been up and down all season. The Pistons are, I think, legitimately really good, but they're inexperienced. Like, Orlando has been a mess all season. Like, the Cavaliers are just now working in this new piece with James Harden. And they've spent a lot of the season underperforming. It's looking like they're starting to unlock a few things, although, my God, have you seen James Harden's new AI created career retrospective?
I'm not.
Oh my God. It's DeAndre. It's so bad. It looks like a cut rate Pixar outtakes of like some like black market Pixar wannabe company created like an unsanctioned James Harden biopic for Pixar, and then they ran out of money or something. It's so terrible.
I gotta look into this.
Oh, it's so awful.
Oh,
man. The Celtics may be looking at this saying, we think we can get to the finals without even pushing Jason Tatum to the limits. So let's give this a go. Let's make sure we do this in a safe way. Obviously, what you don't want is any type of setback, but they may feel like, just 25 minutes a night, Jason Tatum.
Yep.
That could be enough.
We'll see. It's crazy that he's going to be making his debut this Friday. So we'll see what the Celtics are going to do. We'll see what that's going to look like. But the main thing we need to be focused on is it seems the Lakers are going to take care of business tonight against the Denver Nuggets. What type of Lakers team are we going to get tonight? Full energy and effort for 48 minutes. Can they withstand that? What are going to be their defensive schemes against Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic? AK, as always, I'm very, very appreciative of you. You always come in on Lakers Talk Daily. Thank you once again.
Being out, man. Anytime, brother.
And for you guys in the YouTube chat, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. Lakers got a second night of back-to-back tomorrow against the Indiana Pacers. We'll be talking about tonight's game against the Nuggets. But for myself, my guys in the YouTube chat, everyone in the social room, and my guy Andy Kamenetsky, I will be talking to you guys tomorrow. We out.